Have you ever told yourself, it's only $5? Maybe it was a coffee, an app subscription, a snack at the gas station. You didn't even think about it because what's $5, right? It's basically nothing, except it's not nothing. It's the quietest, most consistent leak in your entire financial life. Because here's the thing, it's never just $5. It's $5 500 times a year. It's a lifestyle pattern disguised as small, harmless purchases. And over time, it's what keeps people stuck wondering why they can never get ahead, even though they're not doing anything wrong. The truth is, most people don't go broke from big, stupid decisions. They go broke from small, smart-sounding ones that repeat forever. Look, I'm not saying you need to stop enjoying life or count every penny like you're living in a survival bunker. But if you've ever looked at your bank account and wondered where your paycheck went and you swear you didn't buy anything major, this video is going to show you exactly where it disappeared. And it all starts with that little innocent sentence, it's only $5. My name is Michael, and I help people understand money the way school never did. Not with boring charts and fancy financial jargon, but with real, everyday logic that actually sticks. Because once you see money for what it really is, you stop being manipulated by it. Here's where it starts getting uncomfortable. The human brain is terrible at understanding small, recurring costs. We mentally file anything under $10 into the doesn't matter category. We don't feel it. You tap your card, the little beep goes off, and it's over. There's no pain, no friction, but your bank account still feels it. You just don't notice because the amounts are too small to trigger concern. That $5 coffee every weekday? That's $25 a week, $100 a month, $1,200 a year, and that's assuming you never grab a muffin or upgrade to the fancy seasonal latte. Real-life example. A friend of mine once told me he was broke. He said he couldn't save any money, even though he earned around $60,000 a year. When I asked him to track every expense for a month, he realized he was spending around $800 just on small stuff. 5 here, 10 there, 20 for lunch, 15 for Uber. It wasn't any single thing. It was death by 1,000 swipes. And the emotional consequence? He felt like he was working hard, but never moving forward, like money just evaporated. That's not because he was bad with money. It's because his brain was blind to the pattern. The punchline? The $5 rule is never about coffee. It's about what coffee represents, unexamined repetition. Stay with me. Every time you spend that little amount, you're not just losing money. You're reinforcing a loop. Cue, routine, reward. You're bored or tired, you want a small dopamine hit, you buy something cheap and convenient. Your brain feels rewarded and the behavior strengthens. You repeat it tomorrow. This is how companies win. They've studied this pattern for decades. They know that once you attach a purchase to emotion, comfort, convenience, identity, they don't need to sell to you anymore. You sell to yourself. Think about it. No Starbucks ad is saying buy this because you can't manage your mornings. But that's basically what's happening. Emotionally, it's comforting because you get a small moment of control in a chaotic day. Financially, it's chaos disguised as control. The $5 habit is the adult pacifier of modern life. The punchline? You're not buying coffee. You're buying a 5-minute escape from your own stress at a $1,200 annual price tag. Here's where it gets crazy. Once your income goes up, your $5 becomes $50. You just don't notice it because you've normalized spending for convenience. You used to grab a $5 coffee. Now it's a $50 brunch. You used to order a $10 takeout. Now it's a $100 DoorDash night with cocktails. Lifestyle creep isn't about becoming irresponsible. It's about silently upgrading your normal. You tell yourself, I can afford it now, which technically is true, until you realize your savings rate never improved. You're just earning more to spend more on the same feeling of momentary comfort. Example. Imagine you get a $10,000 raise. You could use that to invest or pay off debt. Instead, you start spending an extra $30 a day without realizing it. Lunch deliveries, nicer gym, slightly better apartment. That's over $10,000 a year. The raise disappeared. You worked harder for nothing. The emotional consequence? You feel busier and more exhausted, but not richer, because you're not. The $5 rule just upgraded its wardrobe. Now let's talk about the modern economy of laziness. We've built an entire financial ecosystem around convenience. Apps, subscriptions, delivery fees, memberships. They're all $5 to $15 each, so they feel harmless. But collectively, they're a second rent payment. Take a look at your phone right now. how many apps are quietly charging you monthly? Streaming services, music platforms, cloud storage, premium features you forgot existed. Each one is a small leak, but together they're flooding your financial basement. And the worst part? You don't even notice because it's automated. No decision making, no emotional friction, just silent money drainage. You're not spending. Your past self is spending on autopilot. Here's the punchline. Automation is only powerful when it's intentional. Otherwise, it's just organized chaos. Here's where we zoom out. That $5 daily habit isn't costing you $5. It's costing you what those $5 could have become. Let's say you invest $5 a day instead, roughly $150 a month. At an average 7% annual return, that's over $200,000 in 40 years. $200,000 from what you used to call nothing. Now, most people hear that and think, yeah, but I want to enjoy my life now. Fair. But here's the question. Are you actually enjoying it, or are you just numbing yourself with convenience? There's a difference between joy and relief. Joy creates memories. Relief just resets your anxiety timer until the next purchase. The emotional consequence of ignoring opportunity cost is subtle. You don't feel poor today, you feel comfortable. But comfort without awareness is what makes middle-class people stay middle-class forever. This is the part nobody talks about. The $5 rule also hides inside status spending. You think it's about coffee, but it's also about clothing, gadgets, and lifestyle aesthetics. That small Starbucks logo, it's not just caffeine, it's identity. It says something about who you are. Same with name brand clothes, Apple upgrades, or boutique gyms. Every one of these is a $5 rule in disguise, not because of the actual cost, but because of how frequently we justify them. Example: you convince yourself that upgrading your phone every 2 years only costs $30 a month. Except that's $360 a year. And if you add accessories, insurance, and app purchases, you're at $1,000 every single year. For what? A slightly better camera to take the same photos of your dog? The emotional consequence? You feel up to date, but your savings account feels ancient. The punchline? Modern consumerism doesn't need you to spend big. It just needs you to never stop spending small. Here's where your friends accidentally make you broke. Ever notice how group spending tends to normalize bad habits? You grab coffee with coworkers because it's just $5. You get lunch because everyone's going. You Venmo for drinks because you don't want to be the cheap one. And suddenly, you've spent $200 this week maintaining friendships that could have been sustained with a walk or a phone call. Social pressure keeps people broke far more effectively than lack of discipline. Nobody wants to be the person who says no, but the people quietly saying no are the ones building actual financial peace. The punchline? Your wallet doesn't need more friends. It needs boundaries. This is the part nobody wants to admit. You keep telling yourself you'll save more later. You'll start investing when you make more. You'll fix your finances when things calm down. But every time you say, it's only $5, you're training yourself to believe small choices don't matter. And that belief compounds faster than interest. Here's where it gets interesting. The difference between wealthy people and everyone else isn't massive financial moves. It's micro decisions. Wealthy people understand that small habits create trajectories. Broke people think small habits don't matter because they don't feel immediate. But money is just math plus time, and every $5 you misplace is time you'll never get back. You don't need more income, you need fewer leaks. Let's get real. Spending small amounts gives you tiny dopamine spikes. Saving or investing doesn't. That's why people sabotage themselves even when they know better. Your brain literally rewards you for doing the wrong thing. Marketers understand this better than you do. Every push notification, limited time offer, or reward points scheme is designed to hijack your reward system. You're not weak, you're chemically manipulated. But here's the twist. You can hack this system. Replace the spending dopamine hit with the satisfaction of progress. For example, automate a $5 daily investment. Every time you see that contribution, remind yourself, that's future me getting stronger. Over time, the feeling of watching your balance grow becomes more addictive than any coffee run. The punchline? You can't beat dopamine, but you can redirect it. So let's flip this. Here's the new $5 rule. Every time you're about to spend $5 on something impulsive, invest $5 first. Mirror the action. Same dopamine, opposite outcome. You want coffee? Cool. Buy your ETF first, then get your caffeine. This rewires your brain. Because now, every indulgence carries a built-in act of responsibility. It's not about restriction. It's about rebalancing. Over time, you'll start doing the math automatically. That $5 snack, that's $25 invested with future growth. Do I still want it? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. But at least you're deciding consciously, not emotionally. The emotional shift is massive. You go from feeling like a victim of small expenses to feeling like you're in control again. You stop saying, "Where did my money go?" and start saying, "Here's exactly where it went." Most people think financial success is about earning more. It's not. It's about widening the gap between earning and spending and then letting that gap compound. You can't widen that gap by cutting out everything fun. That's not sustainable, but you can widen it by cutting the unconscious spending that does nothing for you. The $5 rule is really about awareness, catching the little automatic yeses that add up to massive no's for your future. Here's where it gets crazy. If you stop wasting $5 a day, you're not just saving $1,200 a year. You're buying yourself one extra month of financial freedom every decade because the money you save buys you time. Time not working, time not stressing, time not living paycheck to paycheck. The punchline? You don't need to make more money to feel rich. You just need to stop letting small money control you. Let's talk about the feeling of control. When you start taking these small leagues seriously, something subtle but powerful happens. You stop feeling like life is just happening to you. You start realizing you have agency. That $5 decision isn't about the money. It's about proving you can make conscious choices. That mindset carries into bigger areas. Negotiating your salary, saying no to unnecessary subscriptions, finally starting that investment account. The emotional consequence is peace. Not excitement, not hype, just calm, grounded peace. That's what financial freedom actually feels like. It's not yachts and private jets. It's opening your banking app without anxiety. Here's a reality check. If someone followed you around for a week and tracked every single $5 purchase, what would it say about your priorities? Coffee, snacks, impulse buys, random upgrades. None of them evil, but together they tell a story. That story is either, I buy comfort because I don't want to think about money, or I use money intentionally to make my life better. There's no middle ground. Every purchase is a vote for the kind of person you want to become. The punchline? You're already rich enough to build wealth. You just have to stop voting against yourself $5 at a time. Most overspending happens when you're bored. The modern world trained you to think boredom is bad, but boredom is where creativity lives. When you don't fill every empty moment with consumption, you start noticing new ways to earn, create, and save. The next time you feel the urge to spend $5 just to fill space, ask yourself, what's the real problem I'm trying to solve? It's usually not hunger or thirst, it's restlessness. Learn to sit with that feeling for 10 minutes. You'll save money and rebuild focus. The emotional payoff? You start feeling like you run your day, not your cravings. People love to say, I can afford it, but that phrase has lost its meaning. Affording something doesn't mean you can pay for it today. It means it doesn't affect your long-term stability tomorrow. So when you say, it's only $5, I can afford it, be honest. Can you afford it multiplied by 365? Can you afford it with compound interest lost? Can you afford it if it keeps you from investing or paying off debt? The punchline? You can afford anything once in a while. You can't afford everything all the time. So where does this leave us? The $5 rule isn't really about $5. It's about awareness. It's the difference between automatic spending and intentional living. Every small decision compounds in your finances, your habits, and your peace of mind. Start treating money like a mirror. Every time you spend, ask yourself, is this an investment in my comfort or in my future? Neither answer is wrong, but one of them moves you forward and the other keeps you still. And look, you don't need to live like a monk. You don't need to cut out every coffee or cancel every subscription. You just need to stop pretending the small stuff doesn't matter, because it does. It's everything. At the end of the day, the people who build real wealth aren't the ones making massive, dramatic moves. They're the ones making tiny, boring, $5 decisions correctly every single day. You don't need to look rich. You need to stop being stressed.